is the Herd Line News.
Oh, those feisty Denver Nuggets.
Well, you know what? Everybody's clobbering Jokic, but he did have a great game.
He had a great game, and so did Aaron Gordon.
Nobody's healthy. Michael Porter's not healthy. Jamal Murray. If Jamal Murray alone was healthy, forget Porter, they'd have a win in the series. They would have won last night's game. I watched the entire game. They were in the game.
Yeah.
They didn't have a shot maker.
They lost 118-113.
And by the way, Poole, Clay, and Curry were making shots down the stretch, and they didn't have a second shot maker. I think it's a health issue for them.
Yes, it is. I mean, Jokic is likely going to win another MVP, so he's
wildly productive.
Yes, 37 points, 18 rebounds.
The people that bang on Rudy
assists.
Gobert, he doesn't give you anything on the offensive end, and he doesn't distract. Jokic scores 28, and he gives you a ton of assists.
Yes,
they just don't have a two.
An unbelievable passer. Well, Gordon talked about the need to continue pushing if they want the series to last. He said, obviously, the frustration level is high. We felt like we should have won that game. 2-1 is a whole different series, but we're not done yet. All year long, we've been a resilient group, and I expect us to bounce back. Well, they're down 3-0 in the series, so they did come back down 3-1 against the Jazz and the Clippers in playoff series in the bubble 2 postseasons ago. But this is a Warriors team that is not going to play around. They have a lot of experience in the postseason.
And everybody's healthy now.
Everyone's healthy, and they're going to take this game seriously and, try and sweep the series. Game 4 is Sunday, and the Warriors are favored by 4.5, according to Fox.
Listen, they got a third Splash Brother. I mean, it really is. They have and by the way, they're all different. Jordan Poole is such an attacking player. He's such a good... I mean, if you watch some of these highlights, man, he goes right at the bigs.
One of my favorite sayings is luck favors the prepared.
Yeah.
People like to hate dynasties. They like to hate the teams that are seemingly always in the conversation. And if you pay attention to what they do when no one else is looking, that's what pays the dividends.
Yep.
You are what you habitually do.
Yeah.
Do you draft players? Do you develop them? Are you patient? Do you panic when things aren't perfect? It's not really rocket science here. It is a skill to be able to put together winning organizations and winning companies.
Yeah.
Like, generally successful people have more than one company that is successful.
Right.
And there's a ground level thing that people do. The Warriors having this emergence again should not be a surprise to anyone.
Yeah.
They're consistently great. So speaking of great, Jay Wright retired as head coach of Villanova after 21 seasons, and today he addressed what led him to that decision.
I've been thinking about it for a few years. You just think about it, but during this season, it started to hit me that it was just the right time. I started to feel just like I didn't have the edge that I've always had, where the edge always came natural to me. We always ask our players, you're either 100% in or you're against us. We couldn't ask the players, you got to give 100%, and I'm giving 70%. So I just knew it was the right time.
That's a great answer, by the way.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how different coaches and players come to that moment where they decide that it's time. And everyone has a different reason. Sometimes, obviously, for players, your body gives up on you, or you've just accomplished everything you need to accomplish. But for successful people, he's right. You have to be 100% in. You're not going to have the success that you need to have if you are distracted, or if you've lost that competitive edge that he's talking about.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know the sport anything. He's had an unbelievable legacy career.
Yeah.
So, he's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. What more do you have to push for if it's not in your spirit anymore?
And by the way, he's going to work with Villanova.
Yes.
He'll be a consultant. He'll help. This is the perfect way to do it. Your legend leaves, and he has Krzyzewski gets an office upstairs. Lean on me if you need me. I'm going to golf a couple times a week. But if you need me for a recruit, you need me for an operational question.
His successor, Kyle Neptune, coached at Fordham last year. He was an assistant under Jay Wright for 8 seasons before that. So they have someone in place, which a lot of these legacy organizations do. And we're seeing success with that as well. If you have somebody that has been in the building, that understands how it works, and has also learned from someone who has had a high level of success, then that's the best, transition for it. They reached the Final Four this season, but lost to Kansas, who went on to win the championship. He did talk about the transfer portal and NIL.
What do you say about that?
He was asked if it factored into his decision. He said not a lot, but a little. And he said his assistants are visionary about NIL and transfer stuff, where as he's the coach, has to keep up with it. So he did talk about it influencing it a little bit, which is understandable. It's a massive change.
But I do think the kind of kid that goes to Villanova is not a money grab kid. Like Villanova's a great school, it's a great culture. I mean, Kentucky. The kid that goes to Kentucky, he's a 5-star recruit. I want my dough. And by the way, there are like 4 or 5 schools in the country. They're going to go after that 5-star guy. Villanova's been living on 3-star recruits from Maryland forever.
Yeah, I mean, I think, to your point about the transfer portal, it obviously needs to exist for multiple reasons other than just going to another school to get NIL money. Like, there are lots of reasons why kids transfer. They get into it with the coach. They bring in a freshman that takes their spot. Like, there's all kinds of reasons why. I do think there need to be regulations on when you can transfer. But NIL will adjust itself. So the Lions have 2 picks in the first round of next week's draft, but Jared Goff says he's not concerned about them potentially drafting another quarterback.
Whatever it is, I trust those guys. They've expressed a lot of confidence in me, and feel good about where I'm at with them, and where we're headed. I'm excited about it. But if anything were to happen there, no concern, and trust those guys upstairs.
I would not draft a quarterback. I think Goff's fine. I think they hit a home run in the last couple drafts. They got a left tackle and a wide receiver, Penei Sewell and Amon St. Brown. They were really nice players. So, and by the way, they're offensive people. They have a great back, Swift. They have a great left tackle. They have a nice receiver. They have a great tight end from Iowa. Like, to me, they can't stop anybody. So if I was the Lions, I would go heavy defense in the draft. Like, they've got some nice pieces. They can score. We saw them last year, Joy. They could have won 4 more games, like against decent teams.
Nobody expected them to be good last year, but they were competitive, and they you could see the remnants of a culture being built there.
Yeah.
Of a standard being set. They have the 2nd and 32nd pick in the first round, and they also have a 34 at the beginning of the second round.
I'd go get
so they can get a lot of high-end guys.
I would go get that corner from Cincinnati with the 2nd pick, Sauce Gardner. I'd go get an elite corner. Got Aaron Rodgers in your division. I get an elite corner at the end of the draft. I'd go get. It's a great linebacker draft. I get a linebacker or a defensive lineman.
There are some reports that they were very impressed with Malik Willis.
I just don't think that's is that going to help them next year? And if Dan Campbell doesn't win next year, he's going to enter year 3 on the hot seat. Go get you. They just gave up too many points in the second half. They outplayed the Rams for a half. The Super Bowl champ, and they just run out of gas.
I mean, I would stick with Goff for another year. I agree with you and everything that you're saying and the strategy for what they should be doing in the draft. But I wouldn't be surprised if they take Malik Willis.
I'm just telling you, Sauce Gardner at corner, 2nd pick. I think he may be the best player in the draft. And then I would go defense in the back end. Remember a couple years, teams are starting to do this now more, where they give a draft to one side of the ball.
Yeah, Carolina did it a few years ago.
Just like we're just going to fix the offense. I mean, Jacksonville, basically Urban's first year, they got a quarterback, they got a running back, they got a blocking tight end. They got, I think Detroit just has to give this draft to defense. Yeah. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.